Hello tribe, Michelle here. How you doing today, tonight, or this evening, whenever you listen or watch this? Today I am going to talk about busting the myth of I'm not clairvoyant, therefore I'm not intuitive. So I've got some notes here that I'm going to be looking down at as I talk about this. And this is actually something that comes up quite frequently for me when I'm with clients. And they say that they say, "Oh, I'm not clairvoyant, therefore I can't be intuitive, and therefore it mustn't be for me." Well, today I'm here to bust that myth wide open because it couldn't be more further from the truth. I think this sentiment, this statement came about because back in the day, when someone said, "I'm going to see a psychic," they would say, "I'm going to see a clairvoyant." And I think that just became the noun, the way to describe going to see a psychic. You've never heard anyone say, "I'm going to see a clairaudient," or "I'm going to see a clairsentient." Just doesn't have the same ring to it, perhaps. And perhaps back at the time when this became a popular phrase, the world was changing and there was lots of new visionary things happening. Maybe like spirits showing me, those world fairs of inventions and ideas. And I'm sure that the word clairvoyant has been around a lot longer than that. But, it's this, it goes in hand with this visionary idea of what society is doing. So I think it's just become a collective noun to say, I'm off to see a psychic. I'm off to talk to my spirit guides. So we have all the clairs, we have all of our senses, our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, our feelings, our thoughts, or our knowing. All of those senses have a clair, or a way of seeing, a psychic ability. Some of them are more pronounced than others in lots of people. And also the same clairs will show up differently for everyone in the way that the way that you receive information and the way that spirit will talk to you through them as well. It's completely unique to us and our situation and who we are as a person. So, for example, I am very clairaudient, and I'm more clairaudient and clairsentient. I do get visions, but my visions show up differently to, say, my partner, who I'll talk about that in a minute, that comparison. But I'm a musician and I'm an actor, and I have had a lot of oral training, but I love sound and I love expressing sound. So it makes sense that my clairaudience is one of my stronger clairs, because that's part of it. It blends with part of who I am. It's unique to me. And there are lots of ways that clairaudience can show up. It can show up as a song you hear on the radio, some lyrics, or it can show up as your guides saying something to you, or the voice of the spirit, and you just being able to literally say exactly what they're saying back to you. There's lots of different ways that clairaudience can show up. Yeah, also hearing what others are thinking, like telepathy as well. I have strong telepathy, especially when someone's thinking really hard or their intention is really strong at the forefront of their mind. It's very easy for me to pick up their intention, and that's a form of clairaudience as well. You're kind of hearing what they're thinking. Or have you ever lived in a share house or lived with a lot of people, and say, for example, in the kitchen where people hate doing the dishes, but there's always this one person that needs the dishes done, but they walk in and they're like, "Oh, the dishes aren't done." And every time they walk in, they say that, and that leaves an imprint of their thought, and it just gets stronger and stronger. And so every time you walk in there, you get this urge or this guilt of, "Oh, I haven't done the dishes." And it's like, why do I feel that way? It's because you're hearing that other person's thought of the dishes aren't done, or that person didn't do their dishes. So that's another way of connecting clairaudiently, through imprints. What else have I got here? So maybe I'll talk about how I developed my clairs. There's a few different ways that this happened. So one of the main ways, or actually there were two ways. So I was doing my music degree. At the same time, I met my tarot teacher, and then I met my Reiki teacher. So it was all happening at once, which was wonderful. So I was using the cards to tune into them visually, but I was sitting in the receiving, and I would often hear things or I would feel. Sometimes I would see different things, but the pictures would spark off a story that I could connect to energetically, that my guides wanted to tell me. So that was the one way. And then I learned Reiki, and through the hand chakras, I was able to perceive a lot of information. So when I'm working on someone's physical body or their auric body, I get a lot of information through my hand chakras, which is touch, the touch clair. So, and then that information, as it comes up into the rest of my senses, and I get this sort of like full picture. I can see, feel, hear, and know all the things about it. Like, it forms this full picture. It's not just one clair over the other. It's like, it forms a full picture. And so that developed a lot through doing Reiki for people and uncovering their blocks and their stories, and the story behind, or the event behind, what had happened to them, which was causing the block for them now. So that has nothing to do with clairvoyance. It has to do with the hands, and I can't remember the name of the clair for that. If you know, pop it in the comments below. But I can't remember the name for that. So, and that brings me to another point, is that spirit will always work with you. They'll work with your uniqueness, they'll work with your gifts, and they'll work with your clairs. And it's often also about the message, not necessarily about the clair. So, for example, they might want you to feel a certain feeling, so they might give you a song that makes you feel that way. And they're like, oh yeah, it's this feeling of melancholy, or it's this feeling of ridiculous excitement, but that comes through a song. So, but you know that the message is about the feeling and not about the song or the lyrics. And that's claircognizance, right? So spirit will bring you messages how they want it's usually about the receiver and what the person needs to hear. And the story might be, it's about the message. It's not about the clair. So, all right, I'll talk about I'll compare now my partner's clairvoyance and my clairvoyance, and how they're very different in the way that they show up. And I'll share a couple of other examples as well. So when I was growing up, I had a lot of dreams. My clairvoyance was probably the most active in my dream time. Growing up, I sometimes would have spirits come to visit me, like passed over loved ones. I had a very surreal experience with that when I was 15. But mainly it was just very vivid dreams, and probably a lot of processing, a lot of emotional processing, and inner work happening in my dreams. But also my guides would come to me in my dreams as well and teach me things. Not very often, but they're probably there more than I remember. But I have some memories of some really cool dreams where I know that they were coming in to help me. So that's probably the main way that my clairvoyance shows up, is in my dreams. And the other two ways in conscious waking is I'll get a memory, or I will see, they'll show me an image of something like a static object, like a truck, or or a scene from a movie, or a memory. That's mainly how my clairvoyance shows up. And the other day, my partner and I just, we were just mucking around, and I just held up a oracle card to him because I've been helping him develop his intuition. And I was like, okay, because he's an artist, right? He's a visual artist. He paints, he draws, he sculpts. So he's very on board with his hands as well. But he's a very visual artist, like more so than I. I'm the audio. I'm the musician, he's the painter. So when I held up the card and I said, what's on the back of this card? Just let whatever impressions come to you. He was able to describe the color. He saw a flat image. Like, he really was able to tune into the flat image. Whereas when I did it and he held it up for me, what I noticed was that I got more, I'll show you this just in case you did that exercise. I was able to get movements, and I got some colors as well. But yeah, it was more movement and like metaphor and feelings. So it was harder for me to pick up a flat image, and he got it more accurately than I did. And that really surprised him, because he's only been developing his intuition for a small amount of time. And I said, well, it's because you're a visual artist, and I sort of focus on that stuff, but it's not my main focus like it is yours. So it makes sense that you have an easier time of picking that up than I do. So I hope that helps you to think about how unique you are and how you perceive the world and how you experience the world, and just know that your clairs and your intuition and your guidance is going to be in alignment with that. So I think that's all I have to say. Yeah, I think that's all. So I hope that was helpful, and I apologize for the mess in the background. I might put a background on, we'll see. We're renovating the house. So keep practicing your intuition. Find out who you are. Find out what's unique about you, because that's how your intuition is going to come through for you. Just start observing and practicing and jotting things down, and enjoy the process. All right, lovelies, I will see you in the next video. See ya. Bye for now.